Hey, welcome everybody. Jonathan Mills Patrick with you today, and another interview with my good friend from Scotland, Ben Laing. And we're here today to talk to you about SEO and tips for entrepreneurs. But before we do, I thought I'd give Ben just a chance to tell everyone a little bit more about himself.
Okay, nice. Thanks for having me. So I am from Edinburgh in Scotland, and I specialise in search engine optimization. I've been doing that for about 10 years now, and I started my business 5 years ago, and I started helping businesses get more sales online through search engine optimization and WordPress, building WordPress websites. And search engine optimization is really just helping their website get higher on Google in order to get more sales, because the higher you rank on Google, the more chance you have of being found for searches that your customers are searching, your target market. So that's the kind of thing that I've been doing for the last 5 years as a business, as a service.
Absolutely. So before we get into the details of kind of how you got into it and some tips you might see for businesses right now that you could share with the audience, maybe a little bit about yourself. So don't mean to pry too much, but I think you have some cool news that you announced not too long ago.
Yes. Well, yeah. I know what you're talking about. So my girlfriend's pregnant, and I'm going to be a dad in May, so I'm looking forward to that.
Congratulations, man. I told you, it's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done, but it's also the coolest thing you've ever done. So I wanted to publicly say congratulations. I think it's absolutely wonderful. And big book reader. How many are you reading in a given month right now?
How many books a month? Well, I'm trying to get through one a week. I use a lot of audio books to get through the books because, like, I have a habit of getting up early and going to the gym and then reading an hour every morning. But it doesn't always happen, because if I'm working late the night before, it doesn't always happen. And I'll spend the rest, like, any time that I have free, if I'm walking the dog or whatever, driving, I call it turn driving time into learning time.
Absolutely. Have you always been a voracious reader?
No. 3 years ago, probably, my dad gave me the 4-Hour Work Week.
Oh, yeah.
Which is probably still one of my favorite business books.
Book.
And yeah, have you read it yourself?
Absolutely, multiple times.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, and I just like the whole idea of, like, lifestyle design. That's basically what entrepreneurship is in the 21st century. You've got all the technology and tools to help you with everything. So yeah, reading's a big hobby of mine now.
Yeah, so if I could latch onto a statement you said, you're sort of a big fan of lifestyle design, and I am too. Before we get into the SEO side of it, maybe I could ask you, have you always had the entrepreneurial spirit in you? Have you ever worked a corporate job? And maybe share kind of your philosophy on why you've chosen the path you've chosen.
Okay, yeah. So I would say yes, I have always had that sort of entrepreneurial blood in me, because my dad's an entrepreneur. He calls himself unemployable. He really is, though. But he done a welding apprenticeship, and then he started working with a bunch of welders, and he felt that there was no work ethic in them, and he just didn't like that. He's always liked to work hard, and I think I got a lot of that from my dad. But he was one that gave me the 4-Hour Work Week. But I actually started my business and everything before getting into the reading. My dad has always made me not made me, but got me watching these old videotapes of businessmen, and a lot of it I didn't take in. I was very young at the time, but I liked the idea of how they were working for themselves and not working for someone else, and that kind of stuck with me. That kind of idea of, you're in it for yourself, and you can make your dreams happen if you work hard enough, rather than working for someone else's dreams. And that always stuck with me, and it was always at the back of my mind when I went to college and done a computing course. And at that time, after leaving school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do after high school, and I kind of bounced from part-time job, went to college for a year, and then I went into the second year of that course at college, but it wasn't really for me. So I ended up taking a job that was going in my local town, and that was for a construction company.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember taking some of the stuff that I learned from college. It was just a general computing course, and I picked up some web design tips there. And then my dad was always building websites with a web developer he knew locally, and I got into that, helping my dad build websites for his property development company,
mm-hmm.
because he bought properties for below market value, and there were repossessions and things like that. So we built a couple of websites for property auctions in all the cities in the UK. And mostly in Scotland, so Glasgow, Edinburgh, all the big cities.
Right.
And then I would optimize. I watched a lot of online courses with my dad, and I watched a lot of the sort of Ryan Dice's stuff from the beginning. He was right at the start of internet marketing as it was growing. Ryan Dice, I've learned a lot from him. I'm sure he's actually Russell Brunson's mentor. That's what Russell Brunson says in his book.
Interesting.
So he's like top of the game. He's the guy who owns Digital Marketer. So I learned a lot from Ryan Dice and digitalmarketer.com, and that's where I picked a lot of this up. And then I started applying it to my dad's property development websites, and we brought in a lot of leads for him buying property. We got the inquiries, and then he decided if to buy the property or not based on what kind of price he could get it for. And from that skill that I was developing, I was working part-time for my dad, well, kind of helping my dad really more than working for him, part-time I think it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night. And that was just my schedule. I worked 3 hours every night. So it was quite unusual for like 17-year-old to be doing that. And I think that's where I've always been different in that way, where I had a entrepreneurial bit of blood in me.
Is there a part of
those videos?
Is there a part of the entrepreneurial endeavor that, you've talked about some of the benefits that come with it, designing your own destiny and things like that? I would imagine you like some of the flexibility too.
Yes.
Is there a part of the entrepreneurial side of things though that maybe you could just talk briefly about in terms of what the struggles are? Because I'm fascinated with people about this decision between sort of what I call the ladder or the grind, right? So whether you climb the corporate ladder or whether you prefer the entrepreneur grind, is there a flip side that you've weighed in terms of entrepreneurship? Yes,
well, like I said, I never really done well at school. I didn't like school, and I didn't really get into a job that I found I could work my way up. So on top of that, like that was like one of the reasons it kind of forced me, because I actually got paid off in the moment where I was working part-time with my dad, building these websites, and I was really enjoying that, but I wasn't enjoying my jobs that I was working at. So I could just instantly see that my part-time projects were, I found a lot more joy out of doing that. And helping people get their websites high on Google. And that was just like, I found a kind of passion quite early on.
So you really enjoyed the work itself, and then you liked the benefits of being an entrepreneur in terms of controlling your own destiny and all those things.
Exactly, yeah. And I remember one of the videos I was talking about, the guy was 35 and he had built up, I think he was in venture capital, and he had built up his own startup and invested a lot of money, and he managed to retire at 35. And I remember after seeing that guy with his pool and his mansion behind him talking about how he managed to retire at 35, that was always like a goal for me. But I've found that I also really enjoy helping people just for free. Like I just have that in me. I've always when I see someone's down or whatever, there's that side of me as well, that I think that's my main passion, is actually helping people in general. Yeah.
So you have a giving spirit. So if I tie it into the book reading real quick, have you read Bob Burg's book, The Go-Giver? I imagine you've read that.
No, I've got that up on my bookshelf though.
Okay. Yeah. It'll be right down your alley with what you were saying about being a giving person. I mean, So take a read and and let me know what you think
Okay.
of it. I actually have been able to connect with Bob over the phone before, and I had him sign a version of the book because it was that important to me. So it's a
Yeah.
great short read. And of
Yeah, it
course,
was actually a guy from my book club I set up on Facebook that you're in. He spoke about it at his talk, and it was after it was Richard Tubb from our book club. He's an author himself, I'm sure, and he recommended Bob Burg's Go Giver book, and his whole talk was based around that sort of idea of giving rather than taking.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if it's okay with you, we'll link to the book club in the notes when we get this posted, and everybody can take a look at it. For maybe just give everybody, sort of the 60-second on the idea behind the book club and Facebook.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a total an idea just to invite my friends from all my Facebook friends that were interested in books and try to get them into a one space where we would discuss books, recommend books, and even read the same books and discuss them. But it's not really like that structure of a strict book club where you read the same books and then discuss it. It's really more for the recommendations and reviews on books.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of grew legs itself. So I started promoting it on Instagram, and I found a lot of non-fiction and business book readers were interested in that kind of stuff. So I started inviting them over to my book club. There wasn't meant when I set that up anyway. I was looking for a group like that on Facebook, and that was one of the reasons I set up as well, because there was nothing like that, like any groups with avid readers of business and non-fiction books.
Right.
So that's really the reason I set it up, and now we've got about 330, 40 members. So it started growing itself, and I share my weekly book recommendations in there.
Fantastic. Well, let's switch gears and talk SEO a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
I noticed you focus a lot on that in your career, and obviously
Yep.
with what you do with your business, and even produced a Udemy course on the topic. And
Yep.
we can link to that for everybody as well. So why SEO? What was it that intrigued you about it? You've sort of alluded to that a little bit, and then
Yes.
maybe run us through some tips that people can use.
Okay. SEO, the reason I got into that again was the property websites I was building for my dad, and all the things I was learning around how to rank websites. And I seen the potential because of the amount of leads that I was managing to get by ranking a website highly on Google, where people could inquire to sell their property.
Mm-hmm.
And we were getting all these leads in. And then when I lost my job and I decided to switch from instead of going for interviews and looking for another job, I decided right there and then, because I'd been saving up to leave my work eventually.
Okay.
And that kind of came at the right time. So I then had to find my first client and make money elsewhere.
Right, right, sure.
That's how it happened for me. And that was where I was like, right, I've got this skill of search engine optimization. And my dad ended up recommending me to a couple, because he's been an entrepreneur. He's a blacksmith and done driveways, so he's met a lot of people through that, and he knows, like, everywhere he goes, everyone waves to him. Like,
sure.
That's him. He knows far too many people, and he recommended me to a few of his friends when they were looking for, like, they've started a new business, and I built a website for a roofing company. Started doing it for him, got good results, got him inquiries, and then it kind of grew from there and got recommendations. But on top of that, I had my own skills to rank myself on Google, and that's where the majority of my inquiries came from. I was able to build my own website. I actually watched an online course and learned HTML, like, completely self-taught.
Right.
And then my dad had the web developer that was building his property websites before me, and I went to him and spent about a month with him learning how to build WordPress websites, because I seen that WordPress was growing at this time.
Yes.
I think it's now about 25% of the internet
It's a large
is
chunk.
built on WordPress,
Yeah.
roughly.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, it was about 20. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started on SEO, because I was doing it for my dad without knowing it really, and then I decided to start offering it as a service, and also building websites for customers. But so I ranked my own website, online marketingconsultant.co.uk, highly on Google for web design marketing consultant in Fife, which is the county where I'm from, and Kirkcaldy, which is the town. And then by getting high on that, there was searches there for that, and that's what I'll go into that tip for SEO. One tip is I'll explain what SEO is and overall quickly. So basically SEO stands for search engine optimization, and it's the process of preparing and promoting your website in the best possible way so that the goal of SEO is to rank highly on search engines such as Google. And there is this myth going about that SEO is dead because content marketing's coming in.
Right.
But I've always said a counteract to that is, I don't know, it's a myth that's came from somewhere, content marketers probably. And as long as search engines are around, search engine optimization will be important.
Absolutely.
Because, your website, there's no point having a website if it can't be found on Google.
Yeah, so I don't think it's an if then. I don't think it's I do content marketing and I ignore search engine or vice versa. I think it's sort of a combination of the both that is going to work best.
I've said as well that SEO is important for content marketing as well as content marketing is important for SEO.
Because if I find your site through SEO, but then you're not putting out good content, I leave quickly and your bounce rate's high, right?
Exactly,
or vice versa. If I find you because, so it just, you have to, a lot of people search based on keywords still, so to me SEO is still going to matter. And then you got to have the good quality content for when someone lands that they want to stick around for a while.
Exactly. And on top of that, if you create quality content, then people are more inclined to share that. If you've got poor quality and spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes, and an article that means nothing, just stuff with keywords just for the point of ranking it high,
right.
Like you said, they'll get to have a bad experience and click back. And when someone clicks back on your website after searching and finding you on Google, clicking on your link rather than a competitor's, and they click back, Google can track that and say, so Google's plan is to organize the world's information and basically give the users the best search results possible when they search on Google. Mm-hmm. And if they find out that they're sending someone to a website that's spammy, stuffed with keyword phrases like restaurants in New York or whatever, that'll just be moved down the ranking and a competitor will be put higher. But if they're going to the website and staying there for a long time, Google can also track that.
Right.
So you want to be putting quality content on, and like it says, content marketing and SEO combined is very important. And your keywords is where I was going with this. It's there's different types of keyword phrases, and like it says, a keyword example is restaurants in New York.
Right.
And that would be a very high, really competitive local search, I'm guessing. But if you get these smaller towns around New York, or like I use Fife as an example, which is quite a small county. It's just outside the capital of Scotland.
Right.
That would call that restaurants in Fife a localized search. And you can even go more local or geographical, you could call it, and go for the towns in Fife. So restaurants in Kirkcaldy, that's one of the towns in Fife, which is the county.
So are you saying get very niche with the keywords that you select to target?
Yes.
Much like a lot of proponents of entrepreneurship are promoting right now is to get very niche with your whole idea. From an SEO standpoint, you're saying dig down even further instead of just saying I want to rank high for restaurants, which is highly competitive. Restaurants in New York is highly competitive. Just keep coming down multiple levels until you get to a point where you can really compete well.
Until you find your own sort of market you can dominate or get your website number one. So the way keyword research works, when you're doing research on the keywords or keyword phrases, you're looking for a high search volume but a low competition. And there's a tool called the Google Keyword Planner that gives you that information. So you would search for restaurants in New York and it'll tell you that it gets 5,000 searches every month.
Right.
And this was a free tool. It was called the Google Keyword Tool, and it was free. But now I noticed when I was creating that course, the SEO course I've got on Udemy,
right,
that I got a question from one of the students asking me how the Google Keyword Tool wasn't working. They had to pay for Google AdWords, before they could get into that tool. So basically, to get that tool, it's no longer free. You need to spend a small bit on Google AdWords, or at least create an account and put your bank details in, and you could always cancel and get through to the tool. And that's one way to get to the tool. There's another tool called SEO Chat, and it does a similar thing. It's a keyword suggestion tool.
So do you typically, in your process when you're working with someone, do you start at one of those tools, or are you starting from evaluating their business and thinking what might the keywords be? Is it sort of one prior to the other? How do you see that working?
Well, it can be done in both those ways, really. You can actually jump right into that tool and see what are people searching, because it basically tells you this many people search for this every month. And you say, right, let's go for that keyword. Or you can obviously, I'll ask the customer, what commonly asked questions do you get in your business? And that can be a keyword. That's instead of a local keyword, that's basically query keywords.
Yes,
so questions that get asked. And you can rank blog posts or FAQs specifically for those keyword phrases.
Great suggestion.
Yeah. And that's one of the ways that you could rank as well. So there's local keywords, these sort of query-based keywords, and also you've got long-tail keywords. And that's, like you were saying, niche keywords, long-tail keywords. And that's like 4 words, like almost a sentence. And that can be the sort of questions that people are asking, like how to rank on Google.
Absolutely.
And I would have an article for that. And that I can optimize that to rank highly on Google. So that's one way of getting traffic for free, by creating a sort of helpful how-to article or video on my blog.
And do you see long tail great for the main website, or is long tail typically better for a blog post or a piece of content within the website?
Both, really. You can focus a website completely on a long tail keyword and rank it for that. But ideally, you would be better having one website and focusing on your brand name, number one, and then having it doesn't have to be competitive, but a highly searched main keyword focus, like one phrase that's got a good amount of search volume, and that would be your main focus that you want to rank for.
Yeah.
But on top of that, you can add these pages onto your website that cover all the other questions, cities and things that you want to rank for as well.
Absolutely. Could you go back to a statement you made just a second ago? You said you could use you almost implied that, or maybe I'll form it in a question. Is it better with your homepage to focus on your own institution as the keyword, or do you feel like you start out, Bob's Crab Shack, and you focus on other keywords, or is that homepage, is it better to go ahead and start early with the focus of your business name as a keyword? Do you have a preference, or do you see a way people should go?
Well, best practice in search engine optimization, and on Amazon as well. I'll also optimize products on Amazon, and the best practice is really, what's your focused keyword? Put that at the front of your title, and you've got different ways you can put your keywords into your website, and the title's the number one place. It's called a title tag.
Absolutely.
So, for example, if I was wanting to rank for headsets, and if it was specialized headsets like Xbox headsets, that website would rank. It would have in the title tag number one Xbox headsets.
Right.
Then your brand. That's really like, if you're really wanting to push the keywords and rank. You really want to push the search engine optimization. Obviously, it depends on your goals and what's more important. If you want to have your brand first, but best practice in search engine optimization, if you really want to rank for that keyword, have it starting in your title.
So it might be Xbox headsets and a dash, and then maybe put it. Okay, something like that.
Yeah.
By such and such company. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. What other tips might you have to share with everybody before we wrap up?
Well, yeah, so that was one place you can put your keywords. I'll finish off on keywords and then go on to another tip is, so you can put your keywords, once you figure out your keywords using the Google Keyword Planner, and get a list of 12 keywords or keyword phrases.
Mm-hmm.
So for a restaurant, you would get, if they're an Italian restaurant, they would have Italian restaurant. They would have restaurant on its own. They would have, if they're a cafe through the day, cafe, things like that. And get your list and decide on that based on the number of searches and the competition that you're up against.
I see.
And then decide on it in that way, what's the lowest competition with the high search volume. Get that 12 and then start putting it into your website. And that's a whole different story. You probably have to work with a web developer unless you know what you're doing with that.
Right.
But you can put that into your actual file names of your images. Before you send your images to your web developer or upload them yourself onto WordPress or whatever content management system you use, rename the image file name, the title of the image on your computer, then upload it to the website or send it to your developer. And that in that title, renaming it, put your keywords in there.
I see.
And that's one special place you can put keywords that a lot of people miss out that opportunity.
So tagging your images with a keyword as well.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
Is that the same keyword as you're focusing on for the page?
Yes, exactly. So that if it's a page on, say we're talking about Xbox headsets, it's on a specific page for that Xbox headset. It would have that keyword on the picture of the headset as well.
So it'd be tagged Xbox headset as well. Okay.
Exactly.
Excellent.
So that's one other place, the title tag and the image. But another thing is for good search engine optimization is content marketing, is creating content often enough that the spiders, they call it the spiders of the search engines. They crawl your website.
Right.
If you're putting out content more often, they'll come back to your website and check for new content. And the more often you create that, you're kind of you're building authority with Google, because they can see that you're not just an old, out-of-date website that's put a website up and left it. You're actually providing good content, and Google want to send because people that are searching on Google are customers to Google.
Absolutely.
So they want to provide the best service, so they want to send it to a website with a lot of good, useful content.
And they sort of gauge that by, if there's a lot of people going to that web page, then surely it must be good content. So they're looking at those things.
Yeah.
So from a content marketing standpoint, let's go back to the Xbox headset. If I was focusing on that, then I might write articles that say how to install your Xbox headset, or how to best use your Xbox headset, or how to use the different settings on your Xbox headset. I would produce content around this keyword and this thing that people are looking for.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. You can create like how-tos. Like I do a lot of how-to videos to kind of establish myself as an expert in my field.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of that, I'll embed those videos that I upload to YouTube onto my blog, and I'll also have a blog post with the title "How to, let's say, how to add another admin to your Facebook page." That's one video I just made recently, and then instead of just uploading it to YouTube, I embedded that video into my blog post and wrote a wee sort of summary article about that in a blog post, and published that as a blog post. So that's created an extra bit of content on my page,
right?
Helpful content. And the good thing about video for SEO is Google. There's so many different ranking factors, and what I mean by ranking factors is ways that Google look at your website to decide why that should rank over another website. And one of the factors is, like I've said, having the right keywords and producing and publishing a lot of useful content. But on top of that, video content is really good, because when you embed that on your own website, they watch that video and they sit there, depending on how long the video is. And one of the ranking factors, time on site.
Time on site.
Yeah, so they click on your website on Google, and they don't click back. They stay on your website for a long period of time, that's a really good, that's a plus for your sort of authority with Google and your ranking.
So longer videos, assuming you can keep their attention, or there's not necessarily anything wrong with those. Does that go back to the same philosophy of why there's a debate over long form blog posts versus shorter too? Is that part of it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, long detailed articles, as long as it's good quality, they'll stay to read it. Don't go into far too much detail and like overdo it. But yeah, long form articles seem to have the best ranking.
Right.
Like you're saying, the videos as well is a really good idea, just to keep them, because people do skim when they go to websites. You might do it yourself, but I definitely know that I do it myself. And from testing, people definitely go to the headline, then the subheading, and then the bullet points, and then they might click back and go to the next blog, or just go back away off your website. But if you put a video there, you'll find that they stay on that page for longer, because it's easier to consume content on video than just kind of let it play.
Sure.
So that's one way you can keep people on your website for a wee bit longer, and people like video on the internet.
Probably the same reason folks are embedding podcasts are so popular right now. People are embedding podcast players on their web page so that people will stay longer, and then they're adding the text below to get advantage of the keywords. Okay.
Yeah. Well, give them an option of how they want to consume the content, because there's different types of learners.
Right. Well, great stuff. It's funny how time flies, but do you have maybe one last key takeaway you want to leave everybody with, a quick thought in terms of SEO?
Yeah, so let me just think. So just a one-liner kind of thing.
Yeah.
So one of the things I got from a book that I read, it's actually on content marketing, but like I says, content marketing's got a lot to do with search engine optimization.
Of course.
And it was Joe Polizzi of the Content Marketing Institute, I think he's from.
Yep.
And he says, don't build your brand on rented land. And ever since I read that part, it's so true. Don't build your whole brand just focusing on your social media accounts.
Absolutely.
You can, like, there's the exception, like Cassie Neistat, the YouTuber, who's, I don't even think I've ever visited his website before. But most times when you're building a business, you want to build your website and build your brand that way, and kind of use all these social media platforms as a sort of a spoke in the wheel kind of thing.
Perfect.
So it's all linking to your website. Your website's your core sort of business and your shop front, and you want to use all these social media platforms and other ways of angles of traffic, like actually ranking on Google,
Absolutely.
AdWords, ranking, getting that focusing on your sort of website, which is your core business.
Great piece of advice, Ben, because I think the fear from a lot of people is if you're just on YouTube or you're just on Facebook, if for any reason they change their terms that are unfavorable or even shut you down because they don't like what you're doing, you've now lost your ability to do business. Whereas if you're using all these, as you call it, this hub and spoke, if you're using it to pull them back to your website, you still control that. You may have a YouTube video, but you embed it on your website, and you're getting the benefit of both. People can go to YouTube and find you, and they can find you through your own website. Really great.
Exactly.
Really great.
Yes, you're running a risk when you've got a massive, like 20, 30,000 followers on Instagram, but you've not got any visitors going to your website. And Instagram can switch off whenever they want, and you're not in control of that.
Absolutely. Great
You're
suggestion.
land.
Yeah, fantastic suggestion for people to think about and take away. Well, if anyone wants to learn more about you, where can they find you on the internet, other than searching you through Google?
Yeah. I've always said that network marketing, when I'm going to networking events, that one way to find me is go to my website or just Google online marketing consultant on google.co.uk. But again, I've been talking about search engine optimization, so I've got my Udemy course that you might be interested in if you want to learn more about search engine optimization.
Yeah, we'll link to it in the notes for sure.
Yeah, and that you go to Udemy and search for SEO training for WordPress, and I'm sure I've done search engine optimization to my actual WordPress course on Udemy, so it's ranking quite high for like WordPress SEO courses or WordPress SEO on its own. So just search for some sort of WordPress SEO course and you'll find it on Udemy.
Fantastic. And your website URL? Yep, go ahead. Social media handle?
I put a lot of content out on Instagram, as well, and my handle for that and for Twitter is at Ben Laing #2.
Okay.
And I plan one day to buy at Ben Laing.
Yep.
I'm just going to buy it off him once I reach my millions.
Absolutely. Well, we wish you the best of luck with that, and I appreciate you taking time to come and share some tips with everybody.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, we appreciate it.